I think it's live now, right? We're good. We're good.
Looks like it.
All right. Hello and welcome to another video. First time ever we're doing this live. Eduardo, how you doing?
Good, man. Excited to talk some boxing and more importantly, to get boxing back on the schedule, man. It's been a while.
Yes, it has been a long time, but we're back. We're back. We're finally back after months, but we're here. So let's go into Canelo Berlanga. No, that's what's coming up September 14th, I believe, Saturday. How are you feeling about that fight?
I can't say I'm super excited, man. I know it's Canelo and it's September and Independence and all this, and they even have competition this year with UFC, and we'll get into that later. But surprisingly, I will say, I know you have a lot to say about this, but Berlanga has done a good job, not of convincing others that he's the right opponent for Canelo, but of convincing himself. And that could make for a dangerous opponent. And that's a very big stretch. And when I say that, he could be dangerous, but he found a way to convince himself, and he's not going into this fight like Munguia did, where he was kind of being respectful and taking it the easy way, kind of avoiding getting the extra punishment. So I guess now more than anything, I'm more excited to see what Canelo's gonna do to Berlanga.
And that's where I want to go to. What chances does Berlanga have against Canelo? Because if we, there's a lot of people that saw the press conference. We saw this. They were going back and forth. What chances does Berlanga actually have? People criticize me. I made a video in Spanish saying that I like that he was talking his shit. He was talking his things. I like that. And people started saying, "Oh, you're favoring Berlanga, blah blah." I'm not favoring Berlanga. I think Canelo's gonna run through Berlanga, but I like that. I like that you're selling the pay-per-view. I like that you're saying I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna knock him out. I like that you're not being like Munguia. That you're not being like Jermel Charlo, who I thought Jermel Charlo was gonna do the same exact thing that Berlanga's doing, but he didn't. He got up there and didn't say anything.
Yeah,
what do you think about this?
That's what people, or that's what Canelo's opponents have been doing as of late, is kind of showing him his respect and going about it the professional way. Besides, obviously, the one person that hasn't fought him yet, and that's Benavidez. So to see Berlanga, who people aren't really giving him much of a chance to begin with, come in here and speak so confidently about himself, and quite frankly, to be so disrespectful to Canelo. He's been saying a couple things that, and not even just Canelo, Caleb Plant gets some freaking shots thrown in there too.
That was a straight. That was a straight to Caleb Plant.
Berlanga, he's coming for it all, and he's gonna get it. I mean, it'll be a.
It can backfire on you. It can backfire on you, or it can be. I don't know. I don't think Berlanga's gonna win. I don't really see him having much of a chance. But the man is bigger than Canelo. He's a natural 168 pounder. He hits hard. We've seen it with his knockouts. Obviously on the same level as Canelo, but we've seen the knockouts he's had. What's to say that he can't knock out Canelo Alvarez? What if out of nowhere, boom, he knocks him out? What is this man gonna say? He's gonna be, I told you so. I told you I was gonna go out there and knock him out, and that's exactly what I did. I don't think that's gonna happen. But imagine if this man does that. What are all the people gonna say? What am I gonna say that's been criticizing Berlanga for the past years?
And when you say years, you mean it. No, let's go back a little bit to when Berlanga was on Top Rank and he had his first round knockout streak of 17 or whatever it was, and they were trying to build him up to be the next big thing at 168. And whenever they would mention the name Canelo, anytime they were talking about Berlanga, I mean, it was a joke. It was kind of a fever dream, and here we are, about a week and a half away from this actually happening. So I mean, I guess the simple fact that it is happening is a huge win for Berlanga, but you don't know what kind of effects this could have on his career. Just, look at Billy Joe Saunders. Where'd he go after Canelo?
He got a payday. No, he got his money. He got his bag and he left.
Retirement. So, I mean, yeah, Canelo's not knocking dudes out left and right like he used to be, but that doesn't mean he's not a top 5, top 3 boxer in the
No,
world still.
and we know what Berlanga brings to the table. And I can't sit here and be like, oh yeah, Berlanga's the best Puerto Rican boxer I've seen in my life. He's not. Ever since he was in Top Rank years ago, people are saying on my TikTok, I uploaded a video and they're like, you're barely finding out who Berlanga is. Bro, you're barely finding out who I am, because I've been making videos about Berlanga for years. I'm literally for years. Ever since he joined Top Rank, I said this man doesn't have anything to offer to anybody at 168. He has power, but look at the type of people they were putting up against Berlanga. And I understand it was to build him up, but whenever he came out to fight a Rose, he came out to fight a Nicholson, he came out to fight an Angulo, the man started biting gears. The man started not knowing how to fight. It just went out the window, and that's when Top Rank said, you know what, buddy? We don't want you here because you're not going to help us at all. And so that's why I believe Berlanga really has nothing to offer Canelo, but what I can say is that I respect the hell out of Eddie Hearn. Because if that man can get somebody a fight, it's him, you know? Eddie Hearn, if you want to fight, I can go up to Eddie Hearn like, hey, I want this fight. People are going to be like, bro, you're crazy. But Eddie Hearn's going to be like, all right, I see what I can do. The man gave him Canelo. You know what I mean? The man offered Berlanga, hey, we're going to get you, we're going to try our best to get you Canelo, and here it is. So somebody that I respect is Eddie Hearn.
Okay, but how much of that do you think is Eddie Hearn's doing, and how much of that do you think is Canelo deciding, all right, well, here's an easier fight. Here's a pretty good
No. I mean, it, like I said from the beginning, the hardest fight in that was David Benavidez. And we know that, and we know that David Benavidez is the fight that should have been there. David Benavidez versus Canelo Alvarez is November 14th. But it's not happening because we know people criticize me, but after Canelo fought Bivol, look, the man started declining. And I'm not saying in popularity, I'm not saying in pay-per-views, declining in opponents. And you're gonna say, is Triple G declining? Yeah, the man was 40-something years old. He fought an old Triple G. Yeah, it was declining. He fought a Ryder. Yeah, that's declining. He fought a Jermell Charlo who went up 2 divisions. Yeah, that's declining. Now you're fighting a Berlanga. Why didn't you fight a Moriel whenever he was the mandatory? Now you're saying, oh yeah, it's because he's WBA mandatory. Why didn't you fight Moriel whenever Moriel was WBA mandatory? And I'm not saying Moriel would have done a better job. I like Moriel. I think he's one of the best at 168. But I'm saying, you're saying Berlanga, because he said it in the press conference, no? He said, you're here because I chose you. I think I'm going to knock you out in 7 rounds. 7, 8 rounds, I think that's what he said. Why didn't you have that same energy whenever Moriel was the mandatory at the WBA? Why now?
Well, the answer to that is pretty easy. He just doesn't have to.
No,
it's just that's that simple, dude. Like, it's a matter of, if you want to, if anybody can make it happen in the sport, it's Canelo. You know, we had the talks about him and Crawford going at it eventually, and I'm sure if he decides that that's a fight that makes sense to him, it's going to happen. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that that's the way he operates now. I mean, it's just following in Mayweather's footsteps.
No, I understand, but the difference here was with Mayweather, he fought the fighters that people wanted to see. Whether that be later on in his career or early in his career, he did it. People wanted to see him versus Pacquiao, he fought him. People wanted to see him against Marquez, he fought Marquez. Maidana, he fought Maidana. And whenever he had a fight that was close, he said, you know what? Let me rematch him. And he did that with Maidana. He did that with Castillo. Here it's different. It's different because after his fight with Bivol, his opponents went down in how he was going, because I can't deny it. Canelo's run in Undisputed was one of the best runs I've seen in the history of me being alive. Is the best I've seen. There's no way this man said, you know what, I'm going to become Undisputed at 168 and just ran through the division. But right now, this man went down because he doesn't want to fight the best. Berlanga is not the best at 168. He's not.
Okay, so let's say Canelo did beat Bivol at 175. What do you think, he'd still be on the same trajectory as he is now, or do you think he would have already fought Benavidez or Morel? Or
that would have gone? I think that would have gone to his head, because before he fought Bivol, he was saying that he wanted to fight Usyk at 200 pounds. I mean, but the man was undisputed. The man did so much things in a year. I would have thought the same way too. I would have been like, you know what? I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do that because of everything you did in 1 year. In 1 year, the man went crazy and became undisputed. So I understand where he was coming from. I want to fight Usyk. I want to go fight Makabu at cruiserweight. I want to fight this. I want to do this. I want to do that. I understand it because the man thought he was him. No,
and
but then he was. Yeah. Then he beat Bivol. He lost to Bivol, sorry, and he said, "Damn." I said, "What's next? What's next in my career?" He had the rematch clause versus Bivol, and he decided not to do it, and he decided to go on with Triple G, which from the beginning I thought it was disrespectful, sorry, to have Bivol and then lined up already Triple G without even knowing if you're gonna beat Bivol or not. But I understand how the people. Never mind. I do and I don't. I don't understand what people think sometimes because with this Berlanga fight, people get mad at me or used to get mad at me because I say Benavidez deserves this fight. But now they're here and they're like, he doesn't deserve it, blah, blah, blah. But Berlanga does. How does Berlanga deserve this fight? How?
Nah, I don't think I agree with that statement. If anybody deserves anything,
I don't understand. I don't understand that. And I know you just told me this. You said Canelo can do whatever he wants, and I understand that. Okay,
that's two different things. Canelo doing whatever he wants, and Berlanga deserving this fight is not the same thing. Because
Berlanga does not deserve this fight, and I don't understand. I do not understand what people's logic of Canelo can do whatever he wants. I know he can, but there's organizations for a reason, and that's why the IBF stripped them. The IBF stripped them because of that.
The problem with the organizations is they're so inconsistent that it doesn't really matter. Some will find you, some will strip you, some will work with you, some don't care. How long did Canelo hold? Was it the WBC title hostage?
He still does. He still has it.
Like, how long has it been?
It's years, and I mean, but it's true because that's why we can compare this to other fights. I mean, Jermall Charlo had that WBC belt in a headlock for years. Years.
What, you got it stripped like earlier this year?
Yeah, and it was just because of I believe he had like a DUI or something. He got in a problem with the law, and that's why they stripped him. If not, the man would have kept it. But it is. Going back to our original question, what chances does Berlanga have versus Canelo?
None.
There's a man. There's two people in the ring. There's two people in the ring. One of them has at least. No?
Yeah, well, it's too harsh to say none. I know. But if Canelo's out here, talking his mess, predicting the round that he's gonna knock him out, and he knows what the deal is, he wouldn't be doing that if the opponent was worthy. This is the definition of a tune-up, I guess. And I know Berlanga probably deserves a little bit more respect than that because he's not an absolute nobody. He came into the pros and made a little mark on Top Rank and stuff. But I mean, what's his best opponent to date? McRory? Like
Quigley?
honestly.
Maybe Quigley?
Oh, it was Quigley, right?
I believe Quigley, but Andrade knocked out Quigley in less than like 2 rounds. Was it 2 rounds in a round? I forgot how fast Andrade knocked them out. And my man struggled a whole 12 rounds with Quigley. So, I mean, Berlanga deserving this fight, he doesn't deserve it. Do I respect Berlanga? I respect how that man is selling this fight. That's what I respect. That's the only thing I respect from Berlanga. Why? Because you might say, yeah, but talking doesn't get you anywhere. Buddy, it got him here versus Canelo. I mean, it doesn't get you anywhere, but look where it got him. Do I think he's going to win? No, I don't think so. I think Canelo's running through Berlanga. Does he have what it takes to beat Canelo? I don't think so. Can he? Maybe with the punch. The man is big. One, he's huge. He's way bigger than Canelo. Second, he's a natural 168. The man has punching power. I'm not going to go up here and say he doesn't have punching power. He does. He can knock you out. But will it happen? No, I don't think so. No, Canelo has way more attributes than what Berlanga has. But what I can say is that I respect him for trying to look for this fight and actually getting it. And for talking so much shit about Canelo Alvarez and selling the fight. Because let's be realistic here. Before this fight was announced, whenever it was rumored that he was gonna fight Berlanga, everybody's like, nah, nobody wants to see that shit. I don't want to see that fight. Blah blah blah. I was one of them too. I still do not want to see this fight. But whenever the first press conference came in, they're like, yeah, he's gonna bow down to Canelo, like Munguia did, like Ryder did, like all these people did, like Charlo did. And now he started talking his mess. He started talking his stuff, and people are like, Canelo's gonna go knock him out. Blah blah blah. The pay-per-view is actually gonna be good. The man's smart. I'm pretty sure somebody went up to Berlanga and was like, hey, buddy, I know you didn't say anything in New York, but you gotta start speaking, because nobody's gonna buy this. Because we have the UFC the same day. You got to start saying something. And this man just went out there and started speaking. And I respect that from Berlanga.
Well, it's one of those things that you're not going to get that kind of attitude or behavior from Canelo. You know, he's going to go do his own thing. He sells himself. He doesn't need any shenanigans. He doesn't need to call anybody out. He appears and people will come. And now, as his career kind of winds down, it's going to be a matter of how many people show up and how important his Canelo fight weekends feel. You know, the mid to late 2010s, that was, you know, prime Canelo. He was making history twice a year. And, you know, now we got the newbies, man. We got the Tanks and the Inoues and, you know, like Crawford, all these new names that are kind of taking over in the US. I guess not Inoue yet, but worldwide. And so it's going to be interesting to see, you know, what Canelo wants to make out of this opportunity for himself, because, you know, he doesn't need the big fights, but everything else in between the last big fight and the next one matters too, right? They're still going on his record. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, I guess, how much Canelo really cares about this week or this fight coming up next week, because
that takes me to another question. That takes me to another question. Will Canelo versus Berlanga do big pay-per-view numbers? Will it beat the UFC?
Okay, that's what I was gonna get into.
Will it beat the UFC?
Shoot. If I had to guess, I'm gonna say yes. And that might be just more of me kind of paying more attention to boxing and knowing that the undercard of the Canelo fight has, you know, Caleb Plant on it, obviously.
But the card is not good. Let's be realistic. The card isn't good.
I personally,
you got big names. You got Caleb Plant, which I respect the hell out of Caleb Plant.
The next fight, which I know you're about to mention, that's just, it's not the worst I've seen, but it's kind of sad. But also, Canelo undercards have never been known to be amazing or super stacked in the way that, you know, Turkey and all the Riyadh season stuff, the way they load those cards up. That's not the case with Canelo. You know, you're paying the price that you're paying to see him and not really anyone else. But me personally, because I'm so familiar with, you know, the Caleb Plants and the Danny Garcias and some of the other people on there, I'm going to tell you
Garcia is a good fight.
To be fair, okay, let's get into it a little bit. UFC, they're doing Noches for Mexican independence.
Yeah.
Which is sponsored by Riyadh season in the Sphere.
Okay.
It's unique, but it's kind of missing. I'm missing the point, I guess. What are we doing? Because we're promoting Mexican independence. Sure, you're throwing Mexican guys all over the card, and then you get to the main card. And you have Merab, who, yes, the jokes, you know, Mexican fighter. And you got Sean O'Malley. You know, where's Brandon Moreno? Where's Alexa Grasso? Where's, you know...
Alexa Grasso is the co-main event, but she's not the main event. You know Alexa Grasso is not going to sell like a Sean O'Malley.
But, you know, the point is they put Mexicans on the card and then use, you know, I'd say B-tier fighters to sell a card that, one, is at the Sphere, so they're going to make super expensive for limited availability, and you're marketing it to Mexicans who are balancing that, you know, to go see Sean O'Malley or Canelo right across the street from each other. You're not going to win the locals, I feel like. Maybe some for the FOMO, you know, because the Sphere, but I don't think they've done the best job. I thought UFC did a lot better promoting 300 over this, and maybe that's just me because I'm not the biggest UFC fan, but I honestly I don't care. And I think honestly, well, Canelo surely is obviously going to fill more seats, but I wouldn't be surprised if Canelo ended up winning the pay-per-view battle too, and that's honestly just because of like pirating streams and stuff. But another thing that I'm gonna mention, and we could transition to the next topic, is the price of these pay-per-views, because Canelo is going to be going for $90, $89.99, and Noche UFC is going to be going for $69.99. And we just got announced that there's going to be another fight between, I mean, we know about the fight, obviously, but the price of the Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois card is only $19.99. And so that begs another question, like, are we ever going to see the pay-per-view prices go down? And how do I say this? Should it be expected, or should we be expecting a change, I guess, in the way that they price these pay-per-view cards? Because it's getting ridiculous, man. We paid $100 for Mayweather and Pacquiao, and now you're trying to tell me that Canelo and Berlanga is worth $10 less.
That's just how it is. Like I said, this fight right here with Canelo versus Berlanga, I mean, $90 is crazy. It's crazy. It's a crazy amount. And if we compare with the UFC, it's $70 or $80, I believe, $79.99 to watch Sean O'Malley, $10 less. And if we're being sincere, it's a better card than the boxing card. It's a way better card.
Right. If I had to spend my money on one of these two cards, it has to be UFC, just simply for, you know, the intrigue. I guess for the casual person, that's going to be what's more appealing is a UFC card. But it is kind of crazy to see that, you know, the one person that has been loading up these cards and, you know, giving people quality fights for the past year or two in Turkey is he's pricing his events cheaper than everybody else. So how does that make any sense?
But if we look at why, it's because of the Crawford fight. No, they didn't do well in the Crawford fight, and so he's like, you know what? Let's try to do a change. But I don't want to go yet to that topic. I want to stay on this topic for a little bit more. I don't know. I believe I also want to talk about the gate. The gate is something I also want to do because we talked about the pay-per-view numbers. I want to say on this, but the gate numbers. Do you think it's gonna do good? From what we heard from Dana White, obviously Dana White doesn't. He's gonna say stuff about his company, the UFC. They're guaranteeing the numbers for Canelo versus Berlanga. Is that true? I don't know, but from what he said, the MGM is guaranteeing his numbers. How would that help? I mean, it's gonna help a big time, right? It's gonna help a lot. But I don't know if that compares to what we're gonna see if we see, you know, in this fight, the Sean O'Malley versus Merab. Do you think they're gonna do great pay-per-view numbers and great gate numbers?
You're referring to UFC, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the gate's going to be insane, just simply based on.
No. But what I think, talking about the gate, what he messed up on, which by he I'm saying Dana White in the UFC, is how expensive the UFC is, man. If you want to go see Canelo versus Berlanga, the most expensive ticket whenever it came out, the most expensive ticket was the cheapest ticket for Sean O'Malley versus Merab. You know how wild that is for you to pay $1,000, a little bit over $1,000 for a floor seat for Canelo versus Berlanga, but you're paying $1,000 for a seat, how I say in Spanish, con Diosito, with God almost in the sky, all the way in the top, to watch Sean O'Malley versus Merab, which I understand. The Sphere, I imagine you could see it well from wherever you sit because it's
like a movie theater kind of like.
Yeah, I imagine it doesn't matter where you sit, you can see it well. But $1,000 is wild. A little bit more than $1,000, $1,500, I believe, is wild.
No, I am curious. Do you know how much the Sphere seats? like how many people are gonna be, how many tickets were sold? Because
no. As of right now, I don't. I know. I saw that there was like 3,000 tickets still available.
Well, looking it up, it says about 18 to 20,000. So it's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. Yeah.
Pretty much what like Team Mobile does, right?
Yeah, around there. What our arena does here in Oklahoma, around the same.
So I mean, the gate isn't going to be anywhere close. But pay-per-view sales, I mean, that's interesting because the price isn't that much off. So it's just going to be a matter of what people are willing to pay for. And I think, I don't know. At first, I thought Canelo was probably going to sell more just for, everyone already knows what you're going to get out of Canelo. But the novelty that comes with Noches UFC is something that might get the attention of more people.
But it's not I don't think it's the fight. I think it's the fear. Is how is it going to be? What are we going to see? What are the cameras? Because they're saying the cameras are going to be really good. What are we going to see? I think that's what people are more like intrigued at, than the fight. Because Canelo, we know what we're going to see. You've seen Canelo for the past 2 years. You know what you're going to see in this fight. I'm sorry, but it's the A side and the B side. There's a big difference. No, there's a huge difference in that. We know that. Here, no, but also Canelo is Canelo. I mean, the man just shows up and people start swarming. Whenever this was first announced that they were going head to head with the UFC, I thought the UFC was gonna win. I said they're gonna drown Canelo. But when I saw those ticket prices, I said, yeah, I don't think people are gonna show up like that because it's expensive. That's expensive. I mean, you gotta be, I don't know, you gotta be balling. You gotta have that bag to be going to see the UFC. That's expensive. So I think it's gonna do well. At the end of the day, Turkey Al-Sheikh put Crawford, which was super hard to sell, but Crawford versus Madrimov, they sold that out. I'm pretty sure they're gonna sell out the Sphere. No.
They sold it out, but it wasn't full.
It wasn't full, but I mean, the man was doing everything to sell that. The man gave away a car. The man gave away a car to sell that out. I mean, he's gonna do his best to sell out this Sphere. So, I don't know. I think at the end of the day, I think they're both great fights. I'm gonna be watching both. I'm
illegally. Yeah.
What'd you say?
Illegally.
No.
We're spending 170 or whatever.
We're gonna be
Fire Stick Boys.
Fire Stick Boys. Shout out to Two-Tone.
Yeah.
Shout out to Two-Tone, but the Fire Stick Boys are not gonna come out today. They're not gonna come out on the 14th.
They're gone.
Nah, the Fire Stick Boys are gonna be gone. Again, shout out to Two-Tone, but the Fire Stick Boys are gonna be gone because
to back my boy Chris up, he paid to go fly to Vegas and watch Shakur and Edwin De Los Santos. So my boy won't be getting nothing for free. He pays for the worst of the worst too.
We're gonna make another video about that, but man, I think that's the worst fight I've ever seen in my life, and I paid to watch that. All right.
Real
shout out to right there. But going back to what I was saying, shout out to Two-Tone. The man never says Fire Stick Boys are out. I think they're gonna be out soon. Why? Because my boy Turkey is cutting down these pay-per-view prices to $20. And it's starting with Anthony Joshua versus The Wall. What do you think about this? Do you like this? People are mad at it. Do you like it? Let me know, Eduardo.
Look, if you're mad about this, go outside, take a deep breath, soak in the sun, touch some grass. It's okay. You're looking for things to be pissed off about that aren't there. I mean, if you're a Fire Stick boy and you don't pay for this fight, hit me up. I'll send you $20. Like, come on. What are we doing here? I understand not wanting to pay Mayweather Pacquiao prices for Canelo and Berlanga. That makes sense.
All right, I understand
but for $20, I mean, I can't remember the last time a good pay-per-view card was $20.
But I also have to back up my boy Danny from Twitter. He said Anthony Joshua fights were free in the U.S. Pay-per-view in the UK, but free in the U.S. And now we got to pay to watch Anthony Joshua.
Which
And
is
he has
fine.
a point there. He has a point there.
This one specifically isn't as good as, you know, some of the other Riyadh season cards, but he is putting plenty of talent on there, and he's making pretty even fights. I know we talked about Eduardo Nunez stepping in there instead of Josh Warrington in the co-main for the featherweight title, but I mean, Josh Warrington's a proven tough
No,
boxer.
and it makes sense.
It's in his home country, you know,
Yeah, it makes
100,000
sense.
people. It makes sense. You know,
Makes
it's not some nobody that paid for that spot or anything. So, and like we talked about earlier, you know, he saw the, you know, the struggle that it was to promote and sell Terrence Crawford. And, you know, I mean, I'm sure at this point, pretty much all of his events are operating at a loss. You know, with the amount of money he pays for all of this to go down, there's no way he's making any money.
Yeah,
So
going back to the UFC, they're 20 million down the drain starting out.
well, exactly. And I was reading earlier something that Dana White said, and he said that because he also disagreed with the price of the pay-per-view, which I know you said people disagree, and I couldn't believe it. But he said that the only real way to deal with the problem is to, you know, get the people that are pirating these streams and all this and charge them for it.
That's not going to happen.
That sounds like you are trying to save your ass for raising the price of a product.
That's not going to happen. And I'm going to tell you why. Look, they're mad at it because obviously they're going to profit off of the UFC. But I mean, sorry, the pay-per-view. But this is, from my logic, this is what I see from Turkey's, you know, point of view. This is what I see. The man did Crawford versus Matrimov, and they did really bad on the pay-per-view sales, right?
Mm-hmm.
It did bad at the gate, but the gate doesn't matter. It did bad at the pay-per-view sales. But many people watched that fight. A lot of people watched that fight. I'm gonna go at a limb and say maybe 1 million people watched that fight, but not 1 million people paid for that fight. And so that's why where Turkey was like, brother, we invested this amount of money. We spent so much money on this event, and we only got 100K pay-per-view buys. Where if I drop the price to $20, we might get a million buys, and we might make more money putting it at $20 and putting it at 80. I forgot how much the Crawford fight was, but let's just say it was at $80. Putting it at $80 compared to 100K buys, and that's where I understand Turkey. I understand where he's coming from, because you're gonna make more money lowering down the prices than keeping it at where you had it. No,
I mean it's simple. Supply and demand, man. Economics, middle school, high school, whatever. Like it's a matter of, you know, limiting the tickets. We have the same conversation about like stadium shows. You know, you sell a bunch of tickets way up there with God, like you say, and you sell them for 20, 30 bucks, or you do what UFC is doing and you get a smaller venue and you sell tickets starting at $1,000. And it's like, it's a little difficult to do with pay-per-views because there's options, not legal options, obviously.
Yeah.
But you have the choice to invest your time and money into the product. And honestly, they make it a lot easier for people to, or they make the decision for a lot of people by raising the price of the pay-per-view so much. Because now you're not giving these people an option who spend all their money on bills, gas, and their kids and all this stuff. Is it worth saving $100 aside every other week for a pay-per-view? Or
but look, I feel like people wouldn't care how much it is. People, this is my opinion. I feel like people wouldn't care. Let's just say $100. People would pay it if it's if it's an actual good card. There's no way you're paying $90 to watch Canelo versus Berlanga.
I mean, we'll see how many people do it in a couple weeks.
No, I know that. You know how many casuals watch Canelo? They're gonna pay for it, bruh. You know how many? You know how many?
To throw a carne asada and get.
You know how many tias don't know anything about boxing? Oh, but they'll watch a Canelo fight. They'll be there. They'll be there Canelo night, and they'll be on that grill making food ready for Canelo. So, like I said, I understand Turkey Al Sheikh dropping the prices, but if it works for them, like it works for Canelo Alvarez having it at $90, they're not gonna drop those prices. they're not gonna drop him. But I understand Turkey that he might get more money dropping the prices, making a free event like he wants to do with the Golden Boy Promotions, a Latino night, than having these, you know, outrageous prices at $90, $100 whenever it's Pacquiao versus Mayweather.
And that's the other thing, dude, is that we're not even asking for all the prices of these pay-per-views to be $20. We're just asking them to price them fairly.
No, $50, 50, $60. I get you.
And you know, with Top Rank, most of their shows are for free. You know, that's some of the best entertainment you can get. And I mean, obviously you pay for ESPN Plus, but
yeah, but
UFC's on ESPN Plus too, and you got to throw an extra $80 every other week for it too, unless it's a fight night and stuff. So
but I think
there's options.
What the UFC does, which is smart, is that they give you pay-per-views, and there's a lot of pay-per-views, and they're expensive, but throughout the year they give you a lot of free shows, a lot of them, a lot of those fight nights. This weekend there's gonna be one with Gilbert Burns. I mean, Gilbert Burns is guaranteed a great fight, no? And so that's something that the UFC does that I believe boxing should start doing, putting these free shows for people to start, watching it, be aware, and then maybe they'll pay your $80 or $90, but whenever you don't give them nothing the whole year, then boom, Canelo versus Berlanga, bro, what? How is this on pay-per-view? But look, it is what it is,
Right. I mean, I remember growing up and I used to see PBC on Fox on like the regular national channel.
I saw Thurman versus Danny Garcia on satellite TV.
That's what I'm saying, man. I used to see Tony Harrison and Adonis Stevenson and like all these big names every Saturday. Me not even knowing who they were as a kid,
But we're watching.
Now familiarizing myself with them as I grew up. But now that like come to think about it, like they were just chilling on Fox. Like that was
the first fight
Fox TV.
The first fight of Leo Santa Cruz versus Mares was on satellite TV. It was on air. It was on air. You could watch it. I believe it was Channel 4 here. It was on air. And that was one of the best fights I've ever seen. From there, they were like, hey, we're doing something wrong. Let's put that on HBO, on pay-per-view. Because, I mean, people started watching. People started engaging. But, there was a lot of free fights. And I think that's something that they should start doing. And I'm glad that PBC is not doing a free one because it's on a platform with Amazon Prime with Tim Zhu. But that's a great fight, And so going back to this question, I think it is the right thing to do, cut down pay-per-view prices. Obviously not all of them. If it's a Canelo versus Benavidez, I wouldn't cut it down $20 to $50, $30. Pay that $80, $90. But that's a fight that I would pay for. I wouldn't have a problem paying that amount of money if it's a good fight. But if you're gonna give me these sorry ass fights, these horrible fights, I'm not gonna be paying $80, $90 to watch them. People would prefer to go to Buffalo Wild Wings to go to a bar, and we're gonna watch a fight like that.
And it does suck. And I think about it now. The model that DAZN put out when they first launched, that would have been perfect if it would have just.
It was good until they said, "What are we doing?"
There's more money to be made.
They need more money. I said the more money was out there. I mean, the Triple G versus Canelo fight, the third one, we knew the outcome of that fight, and I think it did pretty good on pay-per-views. And Triple G was like 40-something years old. And while I pay by good, I say when it's more than 300K, I'm like, damn, that's pretty good. Because I mean, that's not a pay-per-view worthy fight. I mean, you know what I'm talking about? Whenever it's not, I don't know. I think Turkey Al-Sheikh is good for boxing, but then there's people that disagree.
Man, okay. He does what he does, and we all know. Get that Nevada appreciation, whatever crap trophy.
Hey, we were talking about Canelo Triple G. What happened?
Look, you just called him good for boxing, but you gotta hop off this man's nuts. Look,
hey. Don't be talking bad about my boy Turkey. Don't be talking bad about my boy Turkey. My boy Turkey brought Crawford back from retiring. The man was gone. He brought him back. He was gone for a year. They brought that man back. My boy Turkey made Tyson Fury versus Usyk happen. My boy Turkey is now making Better BF versus Bivol happen. But I do understand.
Hey, well, tell your boy Turkey that I need a new car. So if he gives me one too, then I'll be on his side.
Hey,
But until then, we gotta chill out, man. He's not the only
no,
person
no, no.
running the
I understand. I understand where people are coming from, but what I do does seem like absurd is whenever like all these awards and all these things are happening. But I understand. I mean, if Turkey came to my crib and said, "My boy, here's two K," I'm not going 100K, 2,000. My boy, I'll hold your hand and we going wherever you want, like he does Dana White and he holds his hand. I'm doing the same shit. We going wherever you want to go. 2K, I'm going.
Nah, I feel you. I probably got a price too, but
Everybody has a price, and he shows it. He showed it.
I'm
And he
not.
showed it because there's no way. There's no way all these promoters were fighting each other, and then Turkey came along and they were like, "We're all buddies. We're all friends. We're all family."
Look at the picture.
Look at the picture right here. Eddie Hearn and Oscar De La Hoya together. Who would have thought that would have happened? Nobody.
Hey,
But my
man,
boy Turkey out of shit said, "Look,
and Eddie having a card together.
Frank Warren, Frank Warren and Eddie. It's just crazy to me. But Turkey out of shit can make that happen. And like I said, everybody has a price, and we've seen it, and we've seen it happen in real life. We're seeing it live action here, and it's happened. But the only problem I think many people have is all these awards and all these things they do with Turkey Al Sheikh. Like they treat him like a god.
There you go.
And that's something that people hate. And I understand that. I mean, there's no point to be treating a human being like that. But everybody has a price. Like I said, the man came, gave me a bag. He offered me some cash. I'm calling him His Excellency too. I'm calling him that too.
That's your majesty, your honor, whatever you want.
No. He's whatever he wants, man.
Yeah, I guess. I just, he's not, I guess he's not that new to the scene anymore. We kind of familiarize ourselves with him, but he does. I feel like, to me, he has a sense of entitlement, which is fine because he can afford to. He can throw you, like you said, he could throw you whatever he wants and make it happen. But I mean, the sport's been going downhill for a while, and if he's going to be the person that steps up, then I guess I'll get on board. But there's still a lot that has to happen, man. There's no plan that's been laid down that's going to lead to success. He's just throwing money at the problem, and if that runs out, then what are we left with?
But I will say something, which I'm gonna find a picture to put it up here. There's 3 kings that haven't bowed down to Turkey Al Sheikh. There's 3 kings that haven't done that.
Canelo.
That's Tank, Canelo, and my boy Anoya Inoue.
Man, but the only reason Tank hasn't is because he didn't buy him the Lambos or whatever. You see the tweet?
Yeah.
So you give me those 2 cars and I'll do whatever. And he said, all right, we'll see. But hey, obviously has, he's a legend in Japan. He doesn't need the Saudi money to do anything. He's already goated. Now Canelo, we'll see. But I mean, shoot, I don't think it's going to be long until one of the 3 ends up on a Turkey card, and it might be Canelo right before he retires.
I think it might be Canelo as well.
But I mean, he's not the solution for everything. Obviously, he just a current solution. It's something new, so it gives something exciting to the sport. But I'm not ready to hand him the reins to the sport just yet. I kind of want to, hold on a little longer and see if we can figure it out ourselves. Hopefully, he kind of influences the promoters to, hey, let's get our shit together and start working together and. Keep making these fights. That's all we want. That's all we've ever asked for, and it's kind of happening now. So we'll see if they can keep it up.
That's true, and I mean they're saying that Heyman came back. I don't know where he was at, but the man came back, and that's probably why, because of these Turkey Al Sheikh was doing all of this, and they were like, "Hey, we got to start doing something because the man's taking over."
And I mean, it was either compete with him or sell out. Which I don't know if selling out's the best term to use. Kind of sounds dirty. But when has boxing not been about the money? So it's either you put up your own money and you try to make all these things happen, or you let this guy come in and put the money for you and you just hop on his back and enjoy the the success, I guess, if you even want to call it that.
True. I want to go to another topic, different from what we're talking about. This past on Tuesday, one of the greatest Japanese fighters fought in the morning at 4 a.m. when everybody was sleeping. Yeah. I know you're in a way. Beat my boy Doheny. I know you're in a way.
That's crazy. Bro just started. He just said, I can't walk. My legs don't work. And ref said, all right, we're done here. And everybody was like, what? That's it?
From what I heard,
that's it.
Was like legs don't work. From what I heard, it was like a sciatic thing. Yeah. The man's 37. The man's 37. I mean, the man's 37. He tried to move. I mean, it's like seeing my dad out there. The man tried to move, and he's like, "Oh, my back."
Not that old. He's not.
My back. It's old. I mean, you try to box. 37 is old.
Now you know what's old. Ric Flair's still wrestling at 90 years old. 37 as a boxer is not the. It's old.
Okay. But hey, it's not the same thing though.
No, okay. And it's in a way. What do you expect? No one's out here thinking Doheny's gonna come out and shock the world like Nettie did when he dropped it. You know?
If you saw the fight, you saw the when they interviewed them after the fight, there's something that Bob Arum dropped there. And is in a way fighting in Las Vegas in 2025.
Okay, you're gonna have to fill me in because I was at work, so I didn't see the end of the fight or anything else.
In a way, defeats Doheny, how he beat him. They interview him, and Bob Arum said, "Our plan is, in a way, to defend his titles in Japan in December," which they're saying around. They always have a fight on the 31st, so I imagine it would be like around the 31st. Mm-hmm. And next year, we're taking the man for a big celebration in Las Vegas. So, I don't know in a way finally fighting in Las Vegas. From what I think is happening, he will be fighting Sam Goodman in December, and we might be seeing one of the biggest fights with Nakatani versus Inoue in Las Vegas. Or he's fighting Eddie Hearn's fighter. Can't really think of his name right now. I believe MJ is what they call him. In December, and then in Las Vegas, still the big fight against Nakatani. Will that happen? I don't know. But it's huge if that happens. Imagine seeing this man in Las Vegas. I have to go. I have to see this man fight. My dream is to watch this man fight in Japan. But if I can't do that, bring that man to Las Vegas.
Well, I was just about to say, don't you have that opportunity to go see him in Japan?
There's been talks of me going in hopefully the end of the year or next year, depending on when, for me to go to Japan. I hope it happens, but
fingers crossed, man.
Are you talking
about for the potential fight or Akhmad Laliev? I don't know how to say it either, but
his name is he's from where Madrimov is from.
Yeah. Okay, I am familiar. Man,
I want to see that fight. I believe more than the fight against Sam Goodman. I want to see that one more.
Oh yeah, for sure. I
want to see that
the Australian, right?
Yeah. I honestly don't want to see that one, but I do want to see the one Eddie Hearn's fighter. Man, I mean, they're scary.
If I was Japanese and I heard that Inoue and Nakatani were fighting each other and it wasn't in Japan, I would be pissed. Out of all the fights Inoue's obviously had big fights like with Nonito Donaire and others, but that's a big fight in itself. And for it to not be in his home country where he celebrated, I want to say like Canelo in Mexico, but that dude don't fight in Mexico. He's like Canelo in Las Vegas, I guess. That's his home.
But when people say Naoya Inoue has to fight in the U.S., no, it doesn't get me mad. But Naoya Inoue does not need to fight in the U.S. He just doesn't.
We as Americans need to get out of the idea that the world revolves around us. Now, sure, is the biggest talent pool and you know the biggest names and the biggest fights and all that. Yeah, it happens here. We know. That doesn't mean that there's nobody in the world outside of this country that isn't deserving of being considered the best. It's just not the case. And we like to pretend that if it's not happening here, then it doesn't matter.
But
And
look,
especially now with like Saudi and stuff, because that does change things because it is more like fabricated. But
but look,
the way that he's been running Japan for the last decade, man, it
there's
deserves
no
it.
need. There's no need. Why am I going to the U.S. when I make triple? What am I gonna make in the U.S.?
For people
Sorry.
that actually give a shit about me. Here, he's just like an idea. You know?
Actually, why it's rude, but why those weight divisions aren't as popular here in the United States? They're not. They're
In
not. They're
Asia,
not popular.
shit. Philippines, Thailand, Japan,
Those are popular.
those little divisions.
Those
Dude.
are popular. Yeah, but they're not. They're not popular in the. If you went up maybe to 130, 135, then it'll be popular here. But it's not. It's not as popular. It's not as popular. It just isn't. But in a way, doesn't need to go to the US. He doesn't. It's just something he doesn't need to.
Okay, like I know I'm not the biggest, you know, Japanese boxing fan. I don't know the whole scene and stuff. But when people talk about Inoue fighting here, who do they talk about him fighting? Tank, Shakur. He's like, I mean, you know, I guess dream matches because they're both. I don't know about Shakur, but like they're both lethal and you know kind of young and small. But it's not the same. You know, it's the fights that we should be talking about, like you said, are Nakatani or the Uzbek. You know,
Or maybe one division up. Okay, man, one division up. Okay, you can go fight Ruiz Ramirez. You can go fight Aldivino Espinosa. One division. But you're telling me to go up to 135, my boy? That's three divisions.
For,
Tank.
all right, okay.
It's two divisions, not two, three divisions. Well, he's 118, 126. It would be 130, 130. That's three divisions. Tell Gervonta Davis to go up to 154. No, 160. No,
Crawford to go fight Canelo. Oh,
it would be 160. No, it's just no.
Just wait.
How can you say nobody wants to see Crawford versus Canelo because of the weight difference, but you want to see Inoue versus Gervonta Davis? No, I don't want to see that fight. I wouldn't mind seeing a Divino Espinosa versus Inoue. I wouldn't mind seeing a Robesi versus Inoue. That would be a hell of a fight because that's just one division, which I still think he would struggle a little bit because the man's coming from small. I mean, he's done a lot. I mean, he's went up several divisions, but I wouldn't mind him going up that many divisions.
No, I feel you. I feel like we don't give the Japanese boxing scene the respect it deserves.
No, we don't. And I think it's disrespectful whenever this man is selling out in Japan, doing everything in Japan, making money, but they're like, you fight nobodies, come fight Gervonta Davis. Brother, look what he's doing in Japan. He don't need you. He don't need the U.S. He does not need Gervonta. He don't need anybody.
Now, if we were to get Inoue here in Vegas, I mean, shoot.
No, I would be there.
The parade, dude. That's huge. Yes. That's amazing. Yes, he's not the biggest, physically the biggest fighter, but that's still somebody generational, dude. We're talking about once in a lifetime, bro. That's an opportunity. This talent, man, and to get to experience it here in the U.S., I mean, sign me up. I'm all for it.
Huge to see Inoue. But the only thing I don't like I said, is people disrespecting Inoue whenever he's done so much for Japan and whenever he's actually showed that he's one of the best, if not the best, pound for pound right now. And to disrespect him and saying, yeah, but you don't fight anybody, this and that. There's a reason why Stephen Fulton decided to fight Inoue, didn't have a problem fighting him in Japan. Because the man is not going to make his $5 million he made in Japan here in the U.S. He's not going to make that. Pantera Neri didn't have a problem going to Japan either. Why? Because they're not going to make that amount of money here.
Exactly. He runs the boxing scene over there. So maybe we should consider that a little more than just wanting stuff for ourselves.
No, yeah.
Well, you know I know I work at freaking 5, 6 in the morning, but I love the freaking 4 a.m. starts on Tuesday afternoons or mornings.
I used to criticize that a lot because I would be like, bro, how can you be hyped in the morning, brother? I'm hyped. I
Wake
mean, it's
up,
for
wake up and watch an Inoue card if you never have, and I promise you'll be entertained, dude. Those guys bang, start to finish.
The only man that can get me out of my bed, happy to watch at 4 in the morning, Tenoya Inoue. That man got me up at 4 a.m. Whenever he fought El Pantera Neri, I was screaming my lungs out at 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning.
Whenever he knocked Fulton out, I woke my family up.
Bro, I was in Mexico. I remember 4 a.m. I woke up to watch that. 4 in the morning.
I mean, it's some of the most entertaining boxing you can get, and most people just choose to skip it. And I get, you wake up, you'll see the highlights, this and that, but there's so much more that happens that you won't get to see because no one cares here in the U.S.
It's not the same, and I just think we have to value Inoue Inoue and what he's done and respect him, because I don't think he's gonna. We might not see that fighter in maybe 10 years from now. We might not see a fighter like that. Like Inoue Inoue.
If Mexicans can claim Merab for the UFC, I want Mexicans to claim Inoue.
Inoue is a monster. He's actually a monster. You people have nicknames. He's actually a monster. Real monster.
I mean, you're dead ass risking your life in the ring with that guy. I mean,
and the man has an aura. Like, I mean, people that say it as memes, but the man has an aura. Like, he does. Like, you see him, and the man has something.
Before he got dropped, though, I mean, I know now he looks a little more human because he struggled. If you want to call it struggling, he dropped him out cold.
Yeah. Okay.
But we kind of saw, okay, he's human, and it didn't even matter. So,
the way he can play with you, the way he knows when to win fights, Inoue is a generational fighter. And I want to end on that. Eduardo, thank you for being here. We said it was only going to be 30 minutes. We're about to hit an hour. Thank you for being here. Let's hope we could do this once a week and keep talking about fights. I think this is an easier platform. I think it's easier for us to do it like this. And I think it looks better for the people and all. We got to see Canelo Alvarez. We got to talk about Turkey Al-Sheikh, Inoue Inoue. I think it's better for the people. No, I liked it. Eduardo, you have anything to add?
Nah, man. I mean, besides the fact that we're just kind of patiently waiting for something to happen in the boxing world, I'm chilling. I'm excited for Canelo, I guess. Not really. I'm excited for it to be over and us to know like what happened and move on, I guess. I know Berlanga's probably going to have Plant lined up after, win or lose.
We'll love that fight.
Canelo, I mean, we know it's Benavidez or bust for everybody, but I guess it's going to be a matter of if it's finally the time.
We didn't touch up on that. I'm just going to say it really quick. But on this fight, on this card, what I'm most excited about is Caleb Plant. I respect the head of Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant will never say no to a fight. The man fought Canelo, he fought Darrell, and then he fought Benavidez. I respect the hell out of Caleb Plant, and I hope he wins by knockout. And you can call him pillow fisted, you can call him whatever you want, but the man has showed you that he's him. Like, the man has him, and he's not scared to do it. He's scared. He's there and he's ready to fight whenever. And do not mess with him because he'll slap you. But Caleb Plant,
a bunch of Mexicans around him, just pick your poison.
Yeah, Caleb Plant is him, and I'm excited to see that man. And that's the fight that actually excites me from that because of Caleb. But yeah, Eduardo, thank you.
Hold on, real quick. I'll add to that real fast. The people that are upset at the opponent in Macumbi, who has had a couple. I think he's had 2 layoffs, one of 2 years, one of like 4 or 5. Not the best record. Oh, it was a suspension. Yeah. He took some time off, and he doesn't have the best record. And I mean, you just mentioned it. He had Plant's coming off the fight with Darrell. He's coming off the fight with Canelo, Benavidez. This is a guy who's earned the right to have a fight that isn't of that level, because the last 2 or 3 years, that's all he's been doing, just fighting at the highest level. And so, sure, 2 tough losses, and he needs to find, get his footing back and get back on the winning column. And I'm not mad at the fight. Obviously, you kind of be a better opponent for the quality of it, but Plant deserves this fight just as much as Canelo deserves a a bum or a gimme fight every now and then.
Okay.
Berlanga.
But you can't be mad at Caleb Plant whenever everything he's done in his career. Won the title by Uskasagi, fought Canelo, tried to defend it, came up short, fought Darrell, knocked out Darrell horribly bad. And then he said, give me the next best thing, which is David Benavidez. And went to war with David. And I respect Caleb Plant. I hope one day I can interview him. I respect Caleb Plant. And I hope one day I can see him live. That's somebody I want to see.
Man, I agree. He definitely made me a fan in the last few years. I know I got off on the wrong foot with him early. I knew when he beat Scotty and the whole Canelo thing. Even though we knew there was a language barrier and it was like the disrespect is like, all right, who is this guy? What's he trying to do here?
But when you hate somebody and then you slowly start liking them. That happened to me with Caleb Plant. I was like, man, this man needs to get knocked out, blah blah. Then he made me to a fan, and Caleb Plant is him.
Heck, man, that's all us as fans. We recognize when dudes, put their balls on and just get to it, and we love it.
I respect this man.
Oh, damn. I didn't know it was like that, but is it like he deserves it? He's definitely he made a career out of himself.
I respect LeBron too.
His real lock screen photo is of Benavidez, just full of hearts. Why don't you show him that one? There he is.
Man. Come on, man. Come on. You think I'm not going to have David Benavidez on my phone, bro?
It is. It was your lock screen for years.
Still is. Look. This David Benavidez right here.
Man.
That's the GOAT. David Benavidez is the GOAT. He'll knock out Canelo Alvarez, beat anybody at 168 pounds. This is the GOAT right here. The GOAT.
He needs to sign you as his promoter. You do a better job.
That's all I got to add. That's how we're going to end this. We're going to end this by me saying David Benavidez is the GOAT. He beats anybody at 168 pounds, and nobody wants to fight him. All right, that's it. I'm playing. See you, bro. Thank you.
See ya.